Hey YouTube, this is the Transplanted Fan, and I wanted to make my first video talking about the LA Kings and the National Hockey League. The NHL trade deadline for 2017 passed about an hour ago. The Kings did make some pretty significant changes in the last few days, and I wanted to go over those with you. A few days ago, the Kings traded goalie Peter Budaj, a prospect and a draft pick, to the Tampa Bay Lightning for their starting goalie, Ben Bishop. Bishop made his first start for the Kings last night and played pretty well, only allowing 2 goals. He's going to make a nice tandem to go along with Jonathan Quick, who just came back from a season-long injury. Between the two of them, they should be a pretty potent tandem in net, so hopefully they'll help the Kings get into the playoffs this year. Then earlier today, the Kings traded winger Dwight King to the Montreal Canadiens for a conditional fourth-round pick, and then they flipped that pick around and traded it to the Colorado Avalanche for forward Jarome Iginla. To be honest, I don't really understand this trade. Dwight King is a good third or fourth line player, and that's fine. Jarome Iginla used to be a terrific player. He's scored over 600 goals in his NHL career, but he's pretty much on the downside of his career at this point. He's in the final year of his contract. He's only scored 8 goals so far this season. He's not exactly an impact player anymore. I guess the hope is that he'll play on the first line with Andrei Kopitar, and maybe Kopi will help him get on track and put some pucks in the net. And the Kings certainly need that type of offensive output from whoever is playing with Kopitar. And in fact, Kopitar needs to contribute a lot more offensively than he has this year. It's been pretty shocking how a guy who could score 25 goals a year all of a sudden struggles to put the puck in the net, but Kopitar has. Thank goodness for Jeff Carter. He's scored over 30 goals now this season. He's one of the leaders in the NHL in goal scoring. And if it wasn't for him and Budaj, the Kings would be in pretty sad shape this year. But back to the Iginla trade, I just don't get it. There had to be some younger, better players available that the Kings could have traded for, even if it meant spending more assets or higher level assets. Granted, you don't want to spend a ton of assets or give away the farm in order to acquire an expiring contract. But if you could get a young guy like a Gabriel Landeskog or an Evander Kane or somebody like that and lock him down for a few years, it certainly would have been more worth it to me than to trade for a guy like Iginla. I think Iginla's a good player. I think he'll be a solid addition to the Kings, and he'll probably contribute a few points here and there, but I don't think he's going to have the point scoring impact that the Kings really needed to get this year. But then again, this was the trade deadline. I think the upcoming NHL expansion draft with the Las Vegas Knights coming into the league had some impact on what players were available from what teams. I think a lot of teams, including the Kings, were very close to the NHL salary cap, so I think that made it difficult for teams to make trades. So I don't think there was a whole lot available on the market today, but still, I would have preferred to see the Kings try to get someone who could provide a bigger impact than Iginla. Maybe I'm wrong. I certainly hope I am. We'll see when he gets here, probably for tomorrow's game against Toronto. That's going to be a fun game to watch. The Kings are coming off back-to-back games where they got to overtime, which was good. 2 nights ago in Minnesota, and they kept blowing 1-goal leads. They had a 1-0, a 2-1, a 3-2, and a 4-3 lead, but none of those leads were safe, and they ended up losing 5-4 in overtime, which was disappointing. Then last night, as I mentioned earlier, they went and lost 2-1 in overtime to the Calgary Flames, which is a team that they're chasing in the standings. So they really need to try and get 2 points in regulation. Instead, they only got 1 point in an overtime loss. So that's a bit disappointing. Toronto comes in Staples Center tomorrow. They're going to be a tough team to beat. Austin Matthews is a pretty incredible player. I've watched quite a few Leafs games this year, and the kid's got a ton of talent. He may be one of the best players in the NHL already. So they're going to be hard to beat. Hopefully, the Kings will be able to get 2 points out of the deal. So we have 18 games remaining, I believe it is, this season. The Kings certainly have a lot of work ahead of them if they're going to get into the playoffs. Certainly hope they do, but it's going to take some improved play over what they've been showing lately if they want to make the playoffs. And once they do make the playoffs, anything can happen. We've seen them be the 8th seed before and make it all the way to winning the Stanley Cup. So hopefully they can pull off that type of run again this year. But the first thing they have to do is get into the playoffs, and that's not going to be easy with St. Louis and Calgary ahead of them. But it's really all up to the Kings. They have to play better. If they play better and they win games, they have a good shot of getting in. If they lose games or they only get overtime points, then they're in pretty big trouble. But we'll see what happens. I'll post another video tomorrow. Until then, please feel free to subscribe to my channel and like my videos, and I'd really appreciate it. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.